into tomorrow. We'll bring the love, not just the horsepower. Is it a no or a TX vibe? We'll show you what's real, not just the hype.
Hi guys.
Views and meeting rules, we teach you more than just photos. And tools from the basics of trucking gear and car and stuff. If you're new or a season vet, for the love of cars, you ain't seen nothing yet. Fix it, learn it, drive it proud. This is more than just machines. It's a love, the life, the dream. For the love of cars, Uganda we rule. From dusty road to dreams we patrol. With your steels we break it down, helping every door in the town. For the love, for the love, for the love of cars, Uganda.
Hi guys, how you doing today? Joshua Chamba de Hannington Ogambota Hussein Batulini Nabari Mokamori. How is your weekend? Yeah. It was Saturday. I think it's one of those Saturdays that I made a discovery. You know how guys have been complaining about a lot of headaches for a very long time? I think I made a discovery today. You see, obere wakango mtute kukuruma. As you come to work, umtune kukuruma. And I realized that there are things that doctors will not help you discover. There are things that you have to discover yourself. And I could not trace it. But I think there's something good in refusing to take painkillers, the similar painkillers. Why? Because when you take painkillers, you mask the pain, and when you mask the pain, you will not work hard to find out the reason of the pain. So I've been having those on and off headaches, and today I discovered it's my perfume. It's my perfume. Now, the perfume has had an effect on me of one, it gives me a headache, and two, it gives me fatigue. So today I woke up very okay. I did not have any I did not have a headache. I did not have any, let's stick to headache for now. So I apply perfume. And the moment I apply perfume, I get a headache instantly. So then I remember there is a time that, like, I buy perfume for me, I buy perfume for Mama Aban. So I bought perfume for myself, I bought for Mama Aban, and my perfume gets done. So I start using her perfume, and then I got headaches. So then I remember that time. And because like this time it was really onset, the moment I used the perfume like this, the headache started. So I went back to the house, showered, and changed. The headache started disappearing. So in a very long time, I think I've had a day where I did not have a headache at all. Okay, I've had a little bit, but I'm thinking it's going away slowly by slowly. Like you have residue because you used the perfume yesterday and the other day and the other day. So I use the perfume every day. And the one thing that I discovered, like some of you guys have watched House, you know House, the TV show called House, and how House would diagnose problems that people hadn't diagnosed. Sometimes House would break into people's houses to find out what's wrong with them, and then he would discover something like that. There is a time I was reading about the headache, and there was a time it was said that you could have mold in your house. I don't have mold in my house. I actually looked for mold in my house. There is no mold at all. So apparently tubane allergy naffe is abazungu. Like I'm allergic to very strong perfumes. Okay, not really strong because my perfume is not really that strong. So I am going to start like shopping again for perfume to see which one works for me. So that's a discovery I made. I thought I would share that because sometimes you have a recurring something that happens to you, maybe headache, high John's info, or maybe you continuously get tired, or maybe you continuously get a part of your body that hurts, and you keep going to the hospital. And because sometimes doctors cannot figure that out, hi Bridget Kahai, because doctors cannot, our doctors, I don't know if it's just their training, our doctors naturally might not help you to figure out what you're allergic to. It's the same thing that happened to me when I found out the allergy, that I was allergic to cinnamon. I would keep getting hiccups. I kept getting hiccups. I'd go to the doctors. They'll give me I think they'll give me something. I don't know what they kept giving me. So, but I'll go back. I love cinnamon. I love cinnamon in tea. It smells really nice. The tea smells nice when you take cinnamon. So I'll take the tabs. It will be better. Then I'll go back home and take cinnamon tea. And then I kept getting hiccups. At a certain point, I even thought over there was witchcraft. The kind of hiccups that make you think there is witchcraft. And then I kept calling people that knew me. You know, someone will tell you hiccups. Someone is talking about you. So I'd call all the people I know, asking them, Onjogirako, Niraka, the kind of hiccups that can kill someone. Now that I think about it, I have a friend of mine who lost their dad, and their dad died of hiccups. Okay, he had hiccups until he died. Now I just realized I was going towards that angle where I kept having hiccups, and the hiccups were not healing. You get? The hiccups were not healing. And until I think I watched a YouTube video. I watched it, and the YouTube video said, if you have continuous hiccups, you need to start seeing what you're eating and then withdraw. Then I realized at that time I was taking a lot of cinnamon tea. So I stopped cinnamon and the hiccups went away. And then another time I ate a piece of bread that had cinnamon in it and the hiccups came back. So I realized now I'm allergic to cinnamon. Now I think the discovery today with the perfume, hi Basic Chris, the discovery today with perfume is almost similar to that. That, you know, you as a person, you keep using perfume every day, or you can keep using a deodorant, and the deodorant is treating you bad, but there is no proof. And because no one knows that you're using a certain kind of perfume, and I don't know, our doctors kind of never ask those things. So when you go to a doctor and say, I have this headache that is recurring, they'll check for malaria, they'll check for typhoid, they'll check your blood pressure, they'll check whatever checks they normally check. And then when they find that you don't have, they'll tell you go and sleep. So you see, I've been saying fatigue. I actually think, I have not yet concretized my finding, but when I went back to the house and showered, changed my clothes, the headache kind of like disappeared. Like, you know, in the morning I would wake up, like the days I run, I go and run. When I run, I freshen up, I use my perfume, the headache comes. So that's a discovery I made. You know, someone might be out there and you have something that is disturbing you, but you have no source. You don't know what's disturbing you, and somehow, because we are in Africa, you end up saying it's witchcraft. You get it? So yeah. So I made that discovery today morning. I'm ditching my perfume, and now I need to find a natural kind of perfume. I don't know what I'll be able to use. Mpanga Godfrey high, Chibuka Ambrose high. So I don't know what I'm going to be using, but so that's my discovery. And because all my clothes have the perfume, that might explain why. That might explain why I still have the residual headache. It's still there a little bit. High proceed. It's still a little bit there, but it's not like yesterday. It was tough. Like it would be on and off. Like you have that headache here, and then when you read about it, they say maybe it's a migraine. You're tired. You need to go sleep. And then I think my sleeping and the headache going is explained. We shower before we go to bed. So you shower, you go to bed, You wake up tomorrow morning and there is no headache because you haven't used the perfume, obviously. So you get ready, you use the perfume, the headache comes, and you say, maybe I didn't sleep enough. And yeah, so you never know. Some people that they say died of witchcraft, maybe they died because of an allergic reaction that was never found, because our doctors really have never focused on allergy as a thing that can disturb us as Africans. Personally, I never thought anyone would be disturbed by allergies. Like my sister who used to tell me, Arthur, I'm allergic to perfume. Like she would start sneezing uncontrollably, and I'll tell her Africans don't have allergies. That's something I used to believe. So, but that happens. So I'll keep you posted if it's actually the perfume. If the headache goes away during the weekend, like now, today I've felt more normal than always. Even the fatigue has reduced a lot. So I'm thinking I kept using the same perfume over and over and over again, and then it kept piling. The headache kept coming back. Yeah. And then Thursday, I told you about how we wanted to go to Masaka and Mubende at the same time. So it was because this gentleman that calls me and says, you know what, Arthur, I want to buy a truck, I want to buy a Canter. I have 35 million shillings. And yes, 35, someone can get 35 to 40, you can get a Canter. And I say, yes, you could actually get. And normally there are people that call me for inspection. Katumba Hamidu, how are you, my brother? Mugambe, how are you? Ricky Chikawa, hi. So there are people that call me for inspection, and when I tell them my inspection fee, their first question is, Arthur, will we get tunafune motoka? So I have contacts. I call people and I ask them for car prices, and they tell me. So when this gentleman calls me, I know we can get for between 35 and 40 million. We can get a good Canter. And when he calls, says, Arthur, will we get? So I call my people again and I say, let me get back to you. So when I call my people all around Kampala, there are trucks in Nansana, there are trucks in Deva, there are trucks around Mengo, there are trucks in Bwaise, there are trucks almost everywhere. Elf, Isuzu Elf, Forwards, there are trucks everywhere. So when I call these people, like me, I've reached a point where dealers don't actually lie to me, or the sellers or brokers don't actually lie to me, because they know even if I come, if it's not good, I will not buy. A few months ago, I got a tooth decay, and my mom advised me to use some home remedies, among which was cloves. I started getting strong headaches and body weakness. I abandoned cloves. I'm now better. That's something Hussein. You see, sometimes I think we just have to discover what works good for our body and what doesn't. So I'll also thank you, Hussein, for sharing. I'll also keep you posted if the headaches go away totally. But from what I've seen, like, I did not really think about it. I just said, I've used this perfume. Now I have a headache. And I went back to the house. I showered, I changed, and the headache disappeared slowly by slowly. Kacharima katono tono, but not like how I have normally. You get it? The people that have been inspecting for the past couple of weeks have seen me. I'm a little bit weak like that. I'm a very healthy individual. So I'm thinking I keep using the perfume. So anyway, guys, let's go back to this gentleman. So I call all my contacts. High Emotion by Benji. I call all my contacts around, and everyone is telling me the same thing. They are saying, Arthur, if you're going to be putting in time out. So everyone is telling me, Arthur, Canters in Kampala are not good enough. The good ones are too expensive. So they all advise me one thing. Arthur, if you're going to get a good Canter, you're going to go to Mubende, to Masaka and Kagadi. That's where the good Canters are, because most Canters are mostly driven in that area. Now, the real question is, why are Canters driven in those areas? The people in Masaka, Kagadi, Mubende, they don't have a lot of hills, so they don't need a very powerful machine. Canter, in contrast, is weaker than the Elf. The Elf is more powerful. However, the Elf is more expensive to maintain. The parts are more expensive than those of Canter. And the people in Masaka, Kagadi, Mubende, those guys, those areas there, they don't want cars, they don't want trucks that are expensive to maintain. They want cars that are easier to maintain. And because almost everyone drives the Mitsubishi, so you'll find that it's very popular there. Because most of those guys bavuga borodo. So I call this person back, and by the time I call this person back, he had taken a judge to come to me. Ontegera, I tell him don't come because we won't get a good Canter here. So I don't want to waste your time. Let's not move around like I know I want the inspection money, but I think a good name is better than silver and gold. So I tell him don't come. However, I have a suggestion. If you can top up your money, top up an extra 300,000 shillings, we can go to Masaka and or Mubende, and if we don't get in one of those places, we cross over and go to the other. Hi, Stephen Omuria. And he says, Arthur, me, I have no problem with that. I'll top up the money. And I tell him, but we cannot go Friday because, so that was Thursday. We cannot go Friday because Friday to Inakechimeza Chemoroka, and my Fridays are normally very busy. So he says yes. So we go. Friday is good. So Friday I call him and Arthur, please check. Well, the quality is because I did not use the microphone. Let me put the microphone. Where is it? And I sent for a better microphone. I think I'm going to spend about 1.3 million shillings on that microphone. If I were to buy it in Uganda, I'd buy it at around 2.5. But I sent for it on eBay. I paid already. I think on eBay, I paid about 800,000. Sound should be better now. So on eBay, I paid for the microphone. I bought the DJI mic too. The DJI mic too. One million, depending on where. So because wherever you go to China, Boba you go 1.5, 1.4 there. At wajitagatam transport, so I bought it on eBay, open box, and when it comes, because I paid about 800,000 including shipping, it will probably cost me tax of about 250 here. So so but the mic I'm bringing is going to be top notch. Ne sound which means jakuba better, and ne sound war reviews are jakuba better. So I think the sound is better now, yeah. Marge, Richard Luanga, Nuaha Norman, Yusuf Lugonda, K. Jovan High. So I'm still telling you about the Canter. So we agreed with this gentleman, we will go to Mubende and then cross over to Masaka. Why I wanted to go to Mubende first? Because most of the people in Mubende are buying from someone I know in the bond. So their trucks are most likely better. But then even Masaka has very good ones. Most of the guys in Masaka have Lifelink VIP. The guys in Masaka import their own trucks. Yukide Masaka, I think they have a B forward. So they import their own trucks and then they bring them to Masaka. So Masaka Mubende was, so I call him Friday to confirm because I had to confirm a mechanic to make sure that Saturday doesn't come when we don't have a mechanic. So he confirms. But then Friday itself, which was yesterday, guy calls me back and he says, Arthur, we will go, but I also want you to check out a truck in Gayaza. I tell him, because my idea was that we were going to Masaka or Mubende. So I tell him, deposit 300,000 shillings. In the guys that want to cost 300,000 shillings, because he paid the 50,000 for consultation, when I get to Mubende, he will pay the 400,000. So when he pays the 300, but now the dynamics change because now he's already in Kagadi. For him, he's already in Kagadi. So we are going to go to Mubende first. So the dynamics change because when you tell me to go inspect a truck in Kampala, now I've started inspection. So you have to pay the full inspection fee on Tegeda, then after Agande. So the dynamics change. But because he had already deposited 300,000, which he did, I decided to just drive and go to Gayaza and check out the truck. But me, because I know cars, I knew the truck in Gayaza, even without seeing it, would be bad. So he had a broker friend of his, I think because he did not want to disappoint him. He says, Arthur, you go to Gayaza. So I drive, I go pick the mechanic, who I paid, by the way, to take him to check with me. So we went and like I had projected, guys of 41, give me some likes, double tap the screen. So we get to Gayaza, there was the truck. Now, before we go to Gayaza, I talked to him and I sent him a few options that I was sent from Masaka. And he says, but Arthur, I thought with my 38 million shillings, I would get like a UBL, UBM. Now that's where the problem comes in, guys. And I've told you this time and again. You wanting a car is a very noble thing, and it's okay for you to want a car. Now, the trouble normally comes when you start being picky about number plates, about models, when your budget is clearly low. The truck he wants is sold at around 85 million shillings in the bond. So for you to want a truck that is only 3 years on the road, in very good condition, at 38 to 40 million shillings is not fair. But something he hadn't told me was that they were selling to him the UBM that we saw in Gayaza at 50 million shillings, and they were taking the 35 million shillings first payment. So now this is where you guys also need to be honest with me. Like, if you're buying a car, what is your actual budget? Then we'll be looking for a car in that budget. I'll give you an example. You remember the last Alphard we bought? Lady told me she has 12 million for first payment. In actual sense, she had 15, but she told me 12. So the day before, when she failed to find a car, she was looking for a car with a broker with 15 million shillings first payment. Zewayajewa Arthur, number 12. So I'm looking for a car where we can pay 12 million first installment. Chick has 15. She's lying to me. Ontegera, katuto kakumoroka yeronda. She also tells me she doesn't want to buy a car that goes past 18, 19. But in actual sense, she can stretch. You get it? Katinze, because she told me I was looking for an Alpha that doesn't go beyond 16, 17 there, but she could actually stretch. Kati Alpha that ends Njimwanga idea. So the thing is, guys, don't lie to me when we're going for inspection. Eh? When you lie to me, one, we make life hard for each other. Why? I'm looking for a car of a specific budget, but for you already have a specific budget in mind. So eventually with the Alphard, we got an Alphard where she had to pay 14.5 first installment, balance in about 6 months, which is okay. But because I knew they would not get our 12 million shillings first installment. I don't know if you guys get what I'm saying. Now I can increase. Hi, firstborn, I'm steady. Ebron, hi. Nissan Primera used one. Don't buy it if you can avoid it. Chris Fitness, hi. So, guys, I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So, Katinono wa Canter, I budgeted him 50 million. Nanga matagara gura moroka isuka million yana. So eventually we see the Canter in Gayaza, Nginywa Oiro, Ochegeira, and already I had it in mind. Nainga womanya how someone insists. So as I come back from Gayaza, he calls me and I ask him, "Your broker kugambi ntitananga, but nemuga imoroka Nginywa Oiro sinunji, but I already knew. Nemuga, but now I have inspected. So Chitegeza, you need to actually pay me the full inspection fee." Now, why do I share this story? Is because guys, when you pay Arthur for inspection, let me just share another story that I've had. Arthur, sometimes you become willing to stretch, being that what you thought in theory is not applying on the ground. So you then choose to scrub the bottom of your savings. No, Martin Arthur, there are sometimes, let me tell you, there are so many instances where we have actually gone to look at cars. The brokers have found the cars. The brokers know the actual truth. Zenganze simanyi chituofu. Katituruka kumoroka nga broker muganda iba kugambe sente zetulina. Nga iya mugambe sente nyinyi zenga yangambi ntono. Kaniza, I'm not willing to look at the car because I know it's higher in budget. Nga the broker knows this person can afford the car. They have the money. Nenga anzono ya nimbi. You get, so guys, don't lie to me. It's not good. Eh? It's not good. It's not good at all. Anyway, Tuveyo. Let me just link this to a phone call that I've had today. Today, I've had a phone call. Someone calls me and they say, "After someone recommended you for inspection. So there is a car I have already seen and even deposited on." That's one mistake you make, guys. When you deposit on a car, you have bought it. When you deposit on a car, you have bought it. So under circumstances like that, of course, I want the money. The central inspection seems a zigoba. But it might not actually be economically good for you to pay at 450,000 shillings to look at a unit that you have already bought. okujjako nga the person you have bought from is open to changing for you. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. If the person you have bought from is not open to changing a unit for you, then paying Arthur 450,000 might not actually be good. So under those circumstances, you're actually just paying me to come and tell you whether it's good, and if it's not good, what you will be working on. You get that service. I offer it for 200,000 shillings. Nesi chikolera mu bondi esigala pre-purchase inspection. Ekyo nchikole moroka wajiguze. Era gwansanga like today. I drove a primo for someone. Eyo service ya mitwala abiri ya kuvuga ontegeera nvuga mu nkubulira obe moroka yo masavu oba si masavu. Ontegeera oba masavu oba si masavu. Eyo ya mitwala ekyo nkiyita diagnostics. Era nvuga ne computer yange kweringa ndi mukebera ndabe waliwo ebitagatta waliwo ebigatta. Ejo gibe emitwala ameka jibe emitwala abiri ng'omwami yandeetedde mark x ye. Okitegeera for diagnosis giri emitwala abiri ku 3 depending on how many people I have to work with to get to the issue. But the mark x is 200 to 300 because ndwadde ayina ekirwadde ekyadde kigimutunza, and that's what we are going to solve. So I'm going to do diagnosis for him, and yes, Martin Arthur. So I'm going to do diagnosis for him, and I'll give him a report. Now, if he still wants my team to repair the car, then the diagnosis fee agisasula na ajimpa nenjiteka mu nsawo kati then nemuwate invoice yokanika nti kati kino tugenda ku replace nga kino na kino. Yeah, already I've already diagnosed one issue. Yali yabadde agamba emmoroka ye yezikiza naye emmoroka yezikize ekyawoze, so ekyo nakirabidde ekyo kikolera okitegeera. So but ekirala ekigira steering ye karuba ekyo nakirabye twadde tugivuga steering ye karuba. So that's the other part that we are going to diagnose. After we have diagnosed, we will tell him what's wrong with the car and what he has to do. If he wants to take it to his mechanic, well and good. If he wants us to work on it, then we'll work on it. Yeah, so kati your product omugitegeddeyo diagnosis mitwala abiri beginning fee kati abiri ga kuvuga bwoba yaga tugende maaso ne ba makanika nti ndeseyo makanika ono kakebere kino na kiri ngoyongeramu akasente okitegedde. Why? You're paying for my time. So guys, now I'm on a phone call with this gentleman and he says, Arthur, I have spotted the Subaru Forester that I want you to check out. I've already deposited on it. So how much will it be? And I tell him, okay, I asked him, the person that recommended me, did they tell you how much I charge? And he says no. So I tell him I charge 450,000. He says, but that's too much. I say, it's not actually too much. I've charged the same fee for now. Tejiri miyake ebiri kati, and you guys voted for it. And he says, but it's only one car. You're not going to look for cars. Now let me clarify, guys. When you pay me, you're paying for inspection. Nze echoku okunonye moroka nawe nchikola to make your experience better. You're actually paying me to inspect. So nebo mpita nzigenda be motoka emu emitwala 45 nga twala irache mchimunnyonnyodde. Guys, when you pay Arthur for inspection, you're not paying a broker. You're not paying Arthur to look. That's why I told you guys, inze you can give me your broker. Netunonya na ikati ngo wa Canter yakoze. His broker friend found the Canter in Gayaza. For me, because I know the facts, mukampala mulimu erefuze namu, Canter sinnamu, namugamba, I would have taken his money netutambula, osegira, but I don't want to do that. Ira ne mugambira tujagenda mu kyalo ye wali morokeze nungi. So but era yaweddeyo. Mubanja no mubanje emitwalo 15 kuba navuza amafuta. Mubanja mbadde mbagamba bwe munaba muli awo nga mulaba omusajja ku TikTok nga agamba Arthur yanziba namugamba nkebere erefu n'atama yoyo mubanya yoyo kuba ye yawedde ate mu mubanja kuba nakebedde ate kye nakebedde nadde nakimugamba dda nti ntujja funayo moroka namu na insistinga kati mubanja bwana abagize nga clearance nabadde actually after we saw the Canter namaliza nga mugaisi kyagenze Masaka sikyagenze mubende because I saw what he wanted. Ayagala moroka nga ya namba mpya nga nungi nnyo ku sente start making a sense. So I told him the best thing for you to do is actually, let's go to the bond. Kati Canter jayagala, ayagala tipper. The two Canter zirimu emirundi ebiri. Waliwo Canter ya magulu amatono ne Canter ya magulu amanene. Ayagala ya magulu manene. There are two options there. You can buy Canter ya magulu amatono, no choose a system wansi, no choose ekitanda, no take tipper. Stephen Omuria, the ones that take sand and then they tip. The Elf is a Isuzu and then the Canter is a Mitsubishi. You get the Elf is more powerful. The Canter is less powerful, but the people in the Masagada don't need a lot of power, so they buy the Canters, and also because the Canters are very easy to maintain. The Isuzus are harder because they are more expensive to maintain. So then the gentleman that I was on the phone call with, Nangamba Arthur, sijja kusobola nsalirako guys, sarako inspection fee. I don't, fees zange zisinga ziri fixed because I've already done the costing. I know how much I'm going to be spending on doing stuff like that. So and he said, well, I'll call you if I'm ready. So people like that normally never call again. And so I just thought I would clarify that when you pay Arthur for inspection, you have paid for inspection. You have not paid Arthur to look for a car. I don't know if you guys get what I'm saying. That's why sometimes when I move around with people and now I start to see Arthur to have options in Dana, I say katukubira kuba broke. But like when we were buying the Sienta, you can try to gula Sienta ya Banja, we are paying only 15 we are paying 15. No, actually they are not. The people that use them would explain better, but they are not. I've not driven those trucks, but all people that Muna Martin Arthur, the people that drive those trucks will tell you. Erefu, Irwana, Mubirombe, Erefu zezigenda, Isuzu zezigenda, Isuzu, Ochtegera. That's why we even have the forwards. Isuzu Raika Nwanyimo. So anyway, Madewa, when we were looking for the Sienta, the Trasasaka Kuminetano, we looked at all the options. I think there were 5. And then there's a particular one that the lady liked. And she says, Arthur, I want to look at more options. Now, sometimes I look at the facts that are on the table and I know what can be done, what can't be done. Because I knew what could not be done, I said, and it's the same day that we were buying the markets, I said to the lady, I don't have any other options. However, you can go through TikTok and find some brokers, tell them our payment terms, and hopefully you get someone that we can go and look at those. So normally, I look for cars with you because I want to make your experience better. And I know that it's very convenient. It's very nice when someone gives you time. To make life easier. And I also know what it means to move on a board and go no motoka. It's draining financially, it's draining physically, and it's also risky. So me moving with you in the car is not only safe for you, but it's also very convenient. So bwetugenda mukunonye motoka, it's bwekitwala enti kubira ba broker bo oba bali bakuli oba bali ku payini oba bali nakawa nze nja genda yo naawe mu motoka. Sinonyeza motoka wabula nkebedde options zokola ki. Kati options zolina bwemba nange nyinawe manyi options wetugattirako ezange and we look at them as well. So but you don't pay Arthur to look for cars. Arthur just adds that bit where he moves with you because kusende zosasude kulika amafuta go. You get it? Arthur, is there any update videos about the taxi chigege business that you have done recently? 40 million used drone. You have to be very careful as you look at the 40 million used drone, because that's like half. Because I know you're going to want something that is newer. You need to be very careful because drones are being sold at 70, 75. So if someone is going to buy their drone at 70, 75 million shillings and they sell you like a UBM at like 40, you need to be extra careful. You get it? But they are there, the 40 million. So one person that's still doing the business, Aina Chigege, from the last time we talked, Aina Chigege Bidi. and is happy with the business. The other person we bought the Chigege for yagitunda because buyabala nga Chigege doesn't give him as much money as he would get if he used the money jali ebweru. So he recouped all his money, by the way. Nga bwe twagigula sente zonna yazijjamu. And then he sold it. And then the person that bought it has a school. He's also very happy with the car. Happy David Sembatia, Juma Ali High. So guys, you have understood how I work. Akasente konkagala na ye sagala kulya sente ya kibinze. Chovolaba, I'm putting all these services on the table. You can go buy your car and then bring it to me and pay me 200,000 mvuge munkubulire. Yes, that's a diagnostic service. Ombuza atha muroka eno gye naguze eri etya. And even then abiriganga ensunga kwata sinavuga nyinzo maluvuga mwawo ne wechanga. So that's also a service. And then there's also the pre-sale, which is 250,000 shillings. And also that service, I am not a broker. I'm not going to sell a car. After I did the pre-sale, I've received a lot of texts of people saying, Atha antundirako, situndirako. Guys, a car is one of the hardest things to sell. Okay, land is harder than a car. But a car is one of the hardest things to sell. Traders can have a car for up to 3 years. Kati if a trader that is in the middle of the market can have that car for that long, imagine you who is not in the market. Kati bwogamba Atha antundirako, obo yagala kwata omugugu ogugo. There is someone that bought a Biante. I told you about him. He imported the Biante and now he wants to sell it fast. Like their cars you will even have for 4 years. The Mazda Biante. So as you're buying cars, you also need to be extra careful. I've been on a phone call with someone today still. He wants to buy a car. He wanted to buy the car before December because he has a function in December. So he thought I should buy a car and then. So his first option was a Subaru Forester, which which is not a bad car. And then he also has the Nissan X-Trail as an option. I told him, don't buy the Nissan X-Trail. Let's stick to the Subaru if it's the other option. I said, but Arthur, I don't want to stick to Subaru. Why? Because Arthur, you've mentioned maintenance costs, you've mentioned resale value. I would not mind the resale value. And I told him 2 reasons why people sell Subarus: maintenance. Second, fuel consumption. Subaru tenywa Toyota. Nkumi biri ya Subaru esobola okunywa nga bina ya Toyota. That's a fact. Esobola, I've not said enywanga, esobola. You get it? So then he got a change of mind and said, okay, which other car can I buy? And I asked him how long he wants to drive the car. He says he wants to drive the car for a long period of time. But outside the Subaru Forester, he's considering a Fielder. He doesn't like the Wish. And for me, I asked him, how many kids do you have? He says, I have 2 kids. And I asked him if he hopes to expand his family. And he said, yes. So I told him, if you're to drive your car for a longer period of time, most people that drive the Fielder don't drive it because it's the best car. They drive it because it's what they know, 1. And also 2, because it's what they can afford that looks good or decent enough for them. Most people would actually like to buy the newer, but the newer is more expensive than the Fielder. So he would come on like next week and we buy a car. But I told him, you should consider the newer, because if you're going to buy, most people that buy the Fielders, they don't buy the Fielders to drive them for like 6 years. They are buying the Fielders to drive them for 2 years. That's why they're considering the resale value. So that then they can get more money, top up, buy the newer. That's what most people, I've talked to people that drive the Fielder. And of course, there are those that genuinely like the Fielder. So I told him, if you're going to drive a car for a very long time, it's important that you buy a car that can be multi-purpose. The Fielder, yes, the Fielder is multi-purpose, but not as big as the newer. Because if you have 2 kids now, and you're not like Arthur, who is not having more kids, you might end up having 4 or 5 kids later. So what happens when you bought a Fielder and you want to have it for 10 years? However, if you have the newer, you can drive it for 10 years, and the newer still takes all of you at once. You get? So I told him to consider the newer. He's considering it. However, the Fielder is being sold at 34, 35 million shillings, 36 at most. However, the newer now mubesuubuza bo bagitunda 38, which means the newer to get a top condition newer would be 41, 42. You get. Nabagamba the last time we bought the newer 37.5 yariko ka damage emabega. Guys, if you can avoid buying a car that has a damage, avoid it. Ekyo ekintu kya damage mu moroka ne bwebanga gwo ajetandikira, I know you're going to have then ajetandikira mu bond. The people buying that car will not want to know. Bajja gambe moroka erimu ekigu. Okitegeera moroka yatomeramu oba ekintu kyagikuba. So it's probably one of the reasons I'm considering comprehensive insurance. Jagala kintu bwe kikona ku moroka yange kiti. Ngene mba insurance banze sikyajagala mungulire moroka endala. After picture this 10 million for a Land Cruiser 3 liter or a Bitama diesel, how much would you charge to work on it like you did your project car? Martin Arthur, project car tebajiwa price. Wabula go sobolo okungamba Arthur for the guys, and I know there are guys that might want to give me their cars to work on them like a project car. You might just say, Arthur, I have this car. I want you to work on it like a project car, and this is my budget. And then when you give me a budget, I'll tell you what is possible and what is not possible. You get? Because I'll give you an example. If I hadn't wanted to invest a lot of money in that project car, there are things I would have avoided doing. One, I would not buy rims. I'd keep the ordinary rims and put wheel caps. Two, I'll not buy new tires. I'll just buy old tires at like 60, 50, and I put. Three, I could have decided to use the cheap paint, like where the liter is like 25k, but I bought paint where a liter is 120. I think it was 125 a liter. You get it? I could have chosen to not work on the interior and just wash it to still be okay. You get, but I could have decided to not put the 360 camera or 360 system. But I did. I could have chosen to overhaul the engine for cheap and not put sleeves or something like that. But I decided because it's my car, I may not be able to even sell it. So I want to do top-notch work. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So Katigwe, you can decide to say a project car doesn't have a budget. Because I would still now decide to put spacers. Let me give you an example. I bought carpets they're shipping them for me. I bought carpets for my Prius. I've had a very big problem with you guys. These normal carpets, when you sit in my car, you push the carpets below and then you start stepping the carpet that comes with the car. So I bought 2 sets of carpets, but now those carpets are different. They cover every bit of the car. They are normal carpets, but they are heavy. They are heavy. So they will sit in the car. They'll cover every place where you can step. They'll go all the way up to the side steps like this. So those are the carpets I bought for my car. Why am I doing that? I don't want my car to have a lot of dust, but I also don't want to do a lot of work washing. Why have I bought 2 sets? I bought 2 sets because I always have a maid at home. So what I do in the evening, because I wash my car every day, I want to be able to get home, get the set of carpets that I've had that day, ditch them out, put in the new set of carpets that were washed yesterday. So every day njagala nga nkyusa carpet ne nkyusa mwezo omwala nazo zencha. So that then in the evenings they come. You get what I'm saying? It's a thing that I was doing with the rack. I had 2 sets of carpets, but the carpets that are on the market here were not made for the Prius. So I bought custom made Prius carpets. Zilikone bigambo Prius. They are made for this particular model. So I've had those imported as well for me. So there are things that you may not do for your car as a project that Arthur might choose to do for his car. You get it? So I don't want to give you a budget, Martin Arthur, but goinzo kungamba, like I'll give you an example. When I bought that project car, I had projected that I will use about 6 to 7 million shillings to work on it. Things changed. The more I worked on the car, the more I wanted to do good work. The more I worked on the car, the more I wanted to do good work. And before you know it, I've used more than 10 million on the car. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Kati, nenga million 10 bakubuza ziriwa. I know now you guys see where the 10 million went. Okitegeera bakubuza ziriwa nenga nze nkola kyange. Okitegeera so project cars don't actually have a budget. That's why you find that the people that have classics baba baziseera because sente zaataddemu wadde aziteekamu mpola gwe singa bagamba zikwata ziteekemu oyinza obutasobola zissaamu. What's the recent prices in the bond for a 2010 Primo? Is it still even there? 2010 si million ana mu nyaawo no naye twagulayo Primo eri million ana mu Enzo beri million gasatu munana. I've not bought a 2010. The last Primo we bought was a 2015. I have to ask. Hi Starch, how are you? Amina Starch. The project kanja zikola bomuzirete kati nyine yandetedde markex njikebere oyinampa akasente ka tanakampa me we signed an agreement when I'm done with the diagnosis because I have his car okisegira mwe benvuga mwe sina moroka yo sina ki kati oli okutwala moroka ye bwaba asazeewo the mechanic owe abikole is that diagnosis za sasula after will those carpets dry in one day like no these carpets are plastic PVC or plastic I think it's PVC because it's really heavy. You see twina carpet is up plastic like these ones ozira weight buno buli week eri carpet eri heavy ngenda carpet izo kangenda saswide emitwalo omusolo emitwalo 52 tax only the two sets of carpets. That's how heavy they are. So they are not cloth. They are not cloth. They are meant to be for easy cleaning. So they will dry. Tezetagana runaku. It's just that mbanja garanzi bazoze nyonyo so that the car smells fresh. And the reason I've not bought seat covers for this, I don't like leather. Leather makes you sweat. Leather makes you sweat. Nateka leather munamukade. Leather can make you sweat. 2011 Primo at 45. Checho. Bay. And then today I've driven a Primo. Someone bought it. I think he bought it like 3 weeks ago. Ira ya kasente kanga akampade. So nenjivugamu. I put a machine. Yeah, Martin, I don't like leather as well. I'd rather clean my seats like every day than have leather. So he called me to simply advise him. There is something he feels in his car. Now, I don't know. I can't draw conclusions, but I saw two things. One, when he bought it, he put bigger tires, something I've discouraged you guys from doing, but you don't listen. He put bigger tires, and then they did wheel alignment. But when they did wheel alignment in Entebbe. There is something about doing wheel alignment in the center of town and at a place that is busy. The more wheel alignment a person does, the better, the more experience he gets, it becomes, the more keen he is at seeing errors. Kateka yenjivuze nenga teri wheel aligned. Nenga ati yajikola wheel alignment. Kati ngesigala yesikaleza side yem. So I told him to redo wheel alignment, but I also told him to do wheel alignment in the center of town. Because those guys do, like someone that does over 15 cars, aligns over 15 cars a day, or your muntu mistakes as dabama unaga gendo terezekano. Katechira limoro keno yajigula mbasubuzi. However, for the guys that have driven cars that have a sport mode, CVT, when you put a car in CVT, there is that shift in the rev. Tejikola. I've told him, bypass but I've told him, Moroccan shifting for sport. That's something that maybe because it's a 4-wheel drive, but the Primo 2010, maybe because it's a 4-wheel drive, but no, I've driven 4-wheel drive cars that have the sport mode. The sport mode is supposed to actually give you that boost, but I didn't feel the boost. The big gear actually does it, but the sport mode, okay, touch cause. I also advised him to change his air cleaner. Guys, the moment you buy a car from the bond, change your air cleaner. The air cleaner is dirty. That air cleaner has dust from Japan or wherever they bought the car from. Katibwegatamu dust here Uganda, it will clog. When it clogs, the car will not be getting enough air. The car doesn't get enough air, it doesn't get enough fuel. So your car will struggle a little. Remember, there is air, fuel, spark. So if the computer senses there is little air, it will give little fuel. So change your air cleaners as often as possible. Cabin air filter sigirabye. But also, guys, why would you buy a premium? That is a 4-wheel drive. And then obviously he also told me how he bought his car. Yagenda mu bondi n'atunulira emmotoka n'ajagala n'agenda anone sente n'addayo ne kyaliwe n'asasula emmotoka. No pre-purchase inspection, no advisory, no nothing. He just liked the car. And normally when you buy a car like that, you like how it looks. That's discouraged. Guys, even if you don't take Arthur for pre-purchase inspection, make sure you do pre-purchase inspection. Now, one of the reasons he bought the Primo was because of resale value. However, resale value, the 4-wheel drive aspect affects resale value. Probably one car that where 4-wheel doesn't affect the resale value is the Subaru with the all-wheel. But these small cars, mbusimanya nguze Fielder ya 4-wheel, nguze Primo ya 4-wheel, ochitegera, I find a lot of people buying Fielders that are 4-wheel drives, but zichija badi ya wali eri mukutunda, because 4-wheel not only gives you extra parts to maintain and buy, but it increases a bit of fuel consumption. And also, guys, when you're buying 4-wheel drive cars, buy 4-wheel drive cars that have a button where you can engage and disengage. It might save you someday. Tell me, Arthur, if you was a Munyankore, give me thanks. I'm the one who recommended to you. Are you sure? You're the one, eh? Thank you very much. I don't know. Was he? I'm not sure. What tribe people are. Like, you see how I'm confusing the dude in the studio for being a Muchiga. The dude is a Mugishu. Clearly, he's a Mugishu. But his name sounds Muchiga. His accent sounds Muchiga. So, Lawrence Biamukama, hi. Guys, Imbasiburo, Tuzaida Chika Mukaga. Is that too much for just carpets? Because anytime you will change the car shortly. Isaac, when Nagura Priya say, no, Sajigura Jichusa, because I figured Priuses are not people's favorites. It's not too much, Isaac, because me, I sit in my car for 3 hours in the morning. I sit in my car for 3 hours in the evening, Monday to Friday. I want to sit in this car and I feel very comfortable. Which tegera. I even sent for the CAN bus. You remember I told you I put the Android radio in the car and the car malfunctioned. So I sent for a CAN bus. It's a device that you can, it's like a go-between. Eh? I will plug in the cables from the car, and then it will give me an output where I'll also plug in the cables from the radio. And then just like that, the radio will work with the car. So I invest in my cars. I invest in my cars. And also ne wano wenyini carpet enungi za bei. Zino carpet zino kati gwe kubamwaka vani zino carpet zino za plastic tuzigula emitwalo mukaga. Eze zara ise moroke entono. Eze moroke nene nuwa za mitwalo 8 ku 10. And 10 ze nungi 8 ye fake. Ate bone dabo carpet buno tugula bwa butamanya. Twali agadde gula carpet zimalayo. Zili carpet zimalayo. I'll show you a sample when they come. I don't know when they are coming. Neno no guys bayagala zisa ku nyonyi. Ngache chinseza. Neno akuba ngambe URA bana buli kilo ya goods bajibala $12. So the tax is really high. Yeah, the tax is really high. But yes, I invest in my car. I invest in my car. And then I also sent for bakaita kali kagundi ka coolant pump kali akafenyo. I sent for a sample from China. Bakarete Jakasa konda how long it works. If it works better than the ones I'll send for more belene spares. And guys, it's some of you guys, you spend more time. We have a Russian on board. Who is that? Arthur, I know someone looking for a 15 million car with 10 million deposit. What option should they have in mind? 15. Spacio. Nantika the problem is getting someone akwatake million 10. Normally abantu abakwatake million 10 ku motoka 15 baba bajjaji muguza 17 si 15. Kukitegera ne bweba ya 15 ate ne motoka ya 15 amazima temalayo nnyo. Corolla, Raum, tejja kumalayo nnyo. Yes, Wish, an old Sienta, which other career? Harrier, old model. I'm trying to look at cars that look a little bit modern. There's a chance you can get a Vitz, the new shape, but also the Vitz old shape RS or the 1.3 liter. Paso is anojifuna ye kumenge ubimara bumazi. Which other car? Mark 2 Grand, Mark X. I think that Mark X is like now the most affordable, very reliable car in the market. Omurasha mulabye tamanyi spelling anansi mbadde munoonyi. The messages ani ziba blocking. Guys, obudde bw'obasibula mulowooza tebutuuse. Omurasha bamunyambyeko aba Google. Naye naye kansooke muteekeko mu time out ya ssaawa 24. Amina Isaac. Kulika webaleka ne musajja gwe toyigira ogenda up country. Era ogenda up country. Naye tambula bulungi. Guys, kamba sibule. So ani ono abadaga emmotoka 15. Masesi. Okay, Isaac. One thing you need to understand is that 15 million for you to get a very good car, it will not be a small engine car. Egenda kuba ya engine nene. Okitegeera. Zimaka 2 grand, Mark X, Harrier old model is always to. Ye motoka bazi zote zitogenda zita engine, togenda zita gearbox okujja kungojiguza enfu. Okitegeera. Guys, kamba siwule. Tunadamu tunyumye ncha. There is a guy with a green parcel here in Moyo. Guy ye feeling Guys, thank you very much for being part of this broadcast. I don't take you for granted at all. Continue to recommend people to me for inspection. Let me see. Guys, tell your friends to subscribe to the channel so that we get 100,000 subscribers. 100, so that we are bigger than how big we are. Joshua, Chambade, Annington, Hussein, Batuline, Jones, Info, Bridget, Kakai, Basic, Chris, Chivoka, Ambrose, Prosi, Bravo, Ricky, Chikawa, Mugambe, Katumba, Hamidu, Motion by Benji, Muyombia, Mark, Stephen Omoria, Rashida, Farm Security, Marge, Richard Wangan, Waha Norman, Yusuf Lugonda, K. Jovan, Isaac, Mukisa Emma Kafero, Lifelink, Tusu, Chris Fitness, Duburwa, Firstborn Channel, Abingwa, Hebron Emmanuel, Gandhi, Martin Arthur, Innocent Mugabe. Thank you very much. Depositing on a car is a bad idea. Vehicles are not like 12 disciples of Jesus that they cannot get another one. Thank you very much. Fahad Kami, Richard Aki, Stephen Omoria, Juma Ali, David Sembatia, uloza sibamaziyo bantu bange. Katamba Isaac Katende, Starch Events, Isiko Ali, Lawrence Biamukama, Ampere FX Bots. After do us a review of your Prius. I did a review of the Prius. Go back to the videos that I did, I think last year. I did a review of the Prius. I can't do a review of my Prius because it's also good for me to have a bit of privacy. A friend gave me one of his cars, but I'm getting before 2026. I mean, guys, do you know why I don't show my car? That Niku TikTok, for the guys that are on TikTok, the TikTok people know I drive a Vitz. It's nice. It's nice that way. But Mugambe, I did a review of the Prius. You can go back. You will see it. Yeah. Guys, I wish a very lovely evening. Thank you very much for being here. Tell people to subscribe. Recommend people for business, bandit for business, so that at a channel, because that's how I manage it. You get Mukama Bampero Mokisa. I saw the previous video now. At the time, you seem not to like them. Yeah, I don't like them. Still, I can't say I like them still, but it's necessary that we buy hybrids. For me, I bought it out of necessity. This is what I'm futa. Prius njagala jiva ko genda mu motoka za masanyalazi, but out of necessity. What would I rather drive? I'd rather drive myself the Subaru N12, or I'd rather drive a Crown. But because of fuel consumption and because of my living conditions, I have to be very calculative with what I drive. So that's why I'm driving a Prius. It's nice, but it's not my preference. Have you done a review of the Audi? I want to have one this way. No, I haven't. No, what SIS sits in the bond. Bela ni milioni anamusatu Rashida. Bela ni milioni anamusatu. To be safe, you can get one at 41. Ngoyagale emalayo. Waliwo kugula SI ngoguze kwekwasa nange nagula SI. Emoroka emalayo ba yabbeyi mukko. Kasule Ramadan ero tusensibula. Guys, I have to go. Emoze nyumira neka ngende. Guys, waliwo wano IT amanyo kugira. My kids laptop, it has been there is an ad that came of naked women. Never blocking. I saw blocking. Today I've struggled with it. If someone knows how why a Crown, not a Mark X, guys, you cannot compare a Mark X to a Crown. Mwe omuntu enagula Mark X ngalo Crown mu beyi yemu abatamanyi kyagula. Crown masavu mugisomeko. Zonanzi vuze. Of course, with time it becomes a normal. Guys, let's talk tomorrow. Kambere kedezi. Mukama bampero mukisa. Have a good evening. Don't drink and drive. Ate wogenda jotesi katika kakapira. Ekiwuka kiruma ate kiswaza. Obulala bwonna bw'obufaye tebakwogerako nnyo. Naye bw'ofa ekiwuka. Mukama bampero mukisa. Ciao.